What is caffeine? Caffeine is a stimulant derived from plants, namely, coffee and tea. It's the most popular stimulant on the planet. In recent years, there's been an explosion of interest in caffeine shampoos, topicals, and their potential to improve pattern hair loss, androgenic alopecia. The hope that applying caffeine to our scalps might stimulate growth factors, improve blood flow, and maybe even reverse hair follicle miniaturization. At first glance, caffeine use might look like a viable, natural intervention. But what does the research actually say? In other words, does caffeine work? Is it a viable alternative to minoxidil? Is caffeine better if ingested, applied topically, or used as a shampoo? How much hair regrowth can we expect? And are there any long-term side effects? Topical caffeine is clinically shown to reduce hair shedding rates and improve anagen-telogen ratios in men with androgenic alopecia. Unfortunately, it's still unclear just how effective caffeine-based topicals and shampoos are for improving pattern hair loss. Caffeine shampoos, topicals fall under an intervention umbrella of low risk, low reward. In other words, caffeine's risk of significant side effects is minimal, as is the amount of hair growth it may initiate. Having said that, not all caffeine is created equally. While topical caffeine products have been shown to improve shedding rates and anagen-telogen ratios, oral caffeine might actually increase hair loss in those who have insulin resistance or are hypothyroid. Of all clinical studies on topical caffeine for pattern hair loss, the best results seem to occur when topical caffeine is combined with ingredients like azelaic acid or drugs like minoxidil. In any case, a 0.2% caffeine dilution for topical solutions and a 1% caffeine dilution for shampoo formulations seem to be the best studied and most promising, so look for brands that meet these criteria. If you're going to use caffeine as a potential hair loss intervention, please understand that this stimulant is only clinically tested on androgenic alopecia and that it's likely not effective as a standalone treatment. Is topical caffeine effective for hair loss? This is harder to answer than it may seem. At face value, the answer is yes. This is because there are a lot of studies showing that caffeine in a topical or shampoo, or caffeine in conjunction with minoxidil and/or azelaic acid, can improve hair loss outcomes. Using caffeine for hair growth, best practices. The best caffeine formulation is likely within a shampoo or topical. Oral caffeine likely doesn't accumulate in the scalp at a high enough degree to elicit adverse or beneficial effects. However, it may have peripheral action through increased cortisol levels, and this may indirectly impede hair growth for those with insulin resistance and/or hypothyroidism. Knowing this, the safest and most effective way to use caffeine for hair growth is through topical means, either through some sort of lotion or shampoo. Considering one study found that caffeine solutions penetrate the hair follicle after 2 minutes and peak at 2 hours, a leave-on caffeine solution may be optimal over a shampoo formulation. The best caffeine dilution is 0.2% for topicals and 1% for shampoos, as far as we can tell. So, from what we can garner from the limited studies available, a 0.2% solution for topical application seems to be somewhat effective. However, keep in mind that this is only for a leave-on treatment, not a shampoo. What is the optimal frequency of use? With the knowledge we have, the daily use of a topical seems to be optimal. Conversely, using shampoo daily may be drying to the hair and the scalp, so it's safe to say that using a caffeine-containing shampoo however often you would normally shampoo is probably best. Summing it up. Topical caffeine may help to elongate the anagen phase of the hair cycle, improve anagen-telogen ratios, decrease hair shedding, and slow the progression of androgenic alopecia. But it's by no means a miracle cure, and evidence so far suggests that this topical isn't any better than 5% minoxidil. The limited evidence we do have on topical caffeine is relatively biased, poorly designed, and has only been studied for androgenic alopecia. Until studies with better designs are published, it's hard to say with certainty just how much of an effect topical caffeine will have on our hair. Nevertheless, topical caffeine leave-on treatments have more quality evidence to support their use, as opposed to shampoos. 0.2% dilutions for topicals and 1% dilutions for shampoos seem to be the most promising. Moreover, the best way to utilize caffeine seems to be in conjunction with minoxidil and, possibly, azelaic acid. Paradoxically, oral caffeine consumption may have an adverse effect on hair growth through increased cortisol release, increased hyperglycemia in periphery tissues, and potentially decreased thyroid functionality. For these reasons, anyone with a history of insulin resistance or hypothyroidism is probably better off avoiding oral caffeine altogether, particularly for hair health. If you do decide to implement caffeine into your regrowth regimen, the first thing you'll notice is how difficult it is to field the market. Almost all companies that have any merit in this space don't quantify the caffeine dilution in their products. Considering most caffeine treatments are upwards of $35 USD, you may want to call around and see if their customer service representatives can give you more information.